Good morning. It's June 2nd. Another lovely spring morning. Going to walk over towards Winnipeg Street. I don't know how far I want to go, but on the south side of College Avenue. So that's how we're starting. I'm using my wireless mic again today, so we'll see how that goes. I haven't used it for a while. I got used to the wired one, but it's nicer to use the wireless one, and I spent a lot of money on it, so we're going to... And I hope that its problems are also related to the cold, which seemed to be what was keeping the wired one not working once it got to a certain temperature. Just kind of annoying considering where I live, but that was the way it was. Don't know what to do about that. So I'm actually going to go over here as if I'm going around the lake and start by going under the bridge. But then we'll go up and walk along, as it says, south of College. See if we get as far as Winnipeg or not. Of course, I could go. Maybe I'll go this way. It'll be a little different. I'll cross up here and walk down towards the Royal Saskatchewan Museum. That's what I'll do. Oops. And I walked into a tree. Then when I get back home again, into my armchair, I'll be editing. Hello, whoever just said hello. Brian, I think. Hard to see in the sun. Yes, Brian in Toronto. Hello. Of course, I was singing "I Come Again" once in my armchair because the weekend was Indianapolis 500, and part of their tradition is to sing. That's dangerous, riding on a bike and wearing headphones. You really need to have all senses so you know that cars are coming up behind you and things like that. I see people doing it and I think, that's just nuts. Anyway, they sing "Back Home Again" in Indiana as part of the opening ceremonies for the Indianapolis 500, which I haven't watched in years. I didn't really watch it on Sunday either because we were traveling, but I saw the start of it. Also watched for the first time in a long time parts of the Monaco Grand Prix. Quite taken with Formula One again, thanks to the Netflix show Drive to Survive, which I highly recommend. And my wife likes it too. So we just watched the last episode of the last season last night when Max Verstappen won the World Championship. It will, of course, be windy up here on this corner. It always is. And I can't cross the street on this side. Can't cross Albert Street on this side. I have to go over and cross the light on the other side, as I often have before, but then I'll immediately cross College again. I hope the sound's okay. Hope the wireless mic stays connected the whole way. I didn't charge it, but I've charged it recently and haven't used it, so it should be okay. I'm hoping I might actually finish this huge editing job that's been hanging over me like a dark cloud now for about a month and a half. 230,000 words of copy editing. It does take time. But it's almost done. If I do nothing else today, I'm pretty sure I can finish it. Which will be a great feeling of great relief. Because I've got so much other stuff to do that I can then focus on without worrying about it. Including my own writing, which again has paused briefly while I was traveling and stuff. No real excuse for that, except I just did. So we're going to go over there and walk over to the Hotel Saskatchewan. I mean the Royal Saskatchewan Museum. which is that building over there in that corner, to start our wander along the southern side of College and heading toward Winnipeg Street. I think if I go all the way to Winnipeg and back, it'll be a pretty full hour. But still, it's a nice day. Meanwhile, you can watch the cars go by. It's downtown, of course, is that way. It is right at 8 o'clock, so people are tail end of people getting to work, I guess. When you're here in the winter and it's dark, it feels like it's really early in the morning. When you're here this time of year, the sun's been up for 4 hours. It's like, why am I so late getting started? Because we're getting close to the longest day of the year. Another 3 weeks, I guess. Not quite 3 weeks. Hello, Gordon food service truck. I don't think the museum will be open yet, or I could probably walk through it. But I have turn signal here. Then I'll get a light. Watch the cars go by. There we go. Down the College Avenue Boulevard there. Right, so we'll walk down here towards the Royal Saskatchewan Museum. There's the sign. New exhibit. What is it? Oh. Haven't been into the museum proper for quite a while. I should make a point of going in. I could probably go in with the camera. Oh, hello, bunny rabbits. Hello to bunny rabbits. Fairly calm bunny rabbits. I think they're hares. This will have nice flowers in it sometime soon. Having just come back from Toronto, where they were planting flowers and things like this, or have already planted them, but they're not quite there yet here. Royal Saskatchewan Museum. We will go to the left, around the end of the building. Grass is recently mowed, I can still smell it. It's a bit of a zigzag path, but it's okay. Back that way at the old Sastel building, I mean. That we just came from. Tomorrow, of course, will be a walk around the lake, which should be very pretty and green again, if the weather holds. As far as I know, it's supposed to be nice tomorrow. Now here, I have to cross the grass if I don't want to go out of my way. So I will. Or I'll head through the grass that way. Hopefully it's not too wet with dew. I don't see it glistening in the sun, so it's probably not too wet. So over there is where they're building the new pool. You can't really see it through the trees. I've walked by it a few times. I don't know what they're doing over there. That's like kind of the staging ground for all the equipment for the pool. Gotta watch out I don't step in a hole. Coming up here, of course, to the new credit union building, which shares a lobby with the refurbished dark hall, which I did do a little bit of a walk through when it opened. If you want to find that, you can see it. More people walking to work in nice weather. It is the credit union building. Oh, I don't think this pool will be open this summer. Got a long way to go. It's still a major construction zone over there. I suppose it's possible by the very end of the summer, but sure looks like they got a long way to go. I haven't actually seen the pool side of it. And I guess we can walk down that way, actually, now that I think about it. I've walked behind these buildings quite a lot, so I might as well go down here and see what we can see. Doesn't affect my ultimate destination because I don't really have one. It's college buildings from behind. The college building, it's called. Here's the pool work. Not terribly attractive at the moment. Stay on the grass to avoid the cars that might be coming one way or the other. So I've often said I've had my picture taken in front of this more than once. We used to do Regina Lyric Light Opera at the time. We did our shows in Dark Hall there about this time. Late May, actually. It's over the weekend after the Victoria, so it would have been this last weekend, would have been our typical timing. Then we'd often come out here and have a picture taken. The tree was smaller then, but we'd have a cast picture taken in front of that tree. Well, you can't see much because of the trailers. There's a path there, which I could be walking on, I guess. Doesn't really go anywhere though. I want to get to the sidewalk on the other side over there, because there's no sidewalk on this side. It's not immediately. Also, there's a stop sign here. Temporary one. So here's the back side of the new pool. Can't really see the pool, but it's over there. I can see the tops of heads, which means something a bit deeper. Let's go see if we can get any closer. But yeah, I'd say we're a long way from opening anything here. What can we see from around here, which is about as close as we can get? That would be the pool itself over there, clearly. And there's supposed to be a water slide and stuff, so put it up there. Long way to go. Okay. Yeah, that's the way we came, I guess. Back onto the path. One of the paths, the one I walk on on Friday, is the one around the lake, which is down there. Ow! Stepped on a broken stick that was poking up and poked me in the side of the foot. A little bit of a path there that takes you to the other path, which I'll be on tomorrow. Yeah, well, those are park toilets. I'm sure there'll be new ones inside the pool, but public toilets are part of the park. Some geese over there. This path doesn't see quite as much traffic as the one around the lake, which I'm sure will be fairly busy tomorrow if it's like today. I don't think there's any rain in the forecast. I've got just a little bit of something in both eyes, which is really annoying, but very common for us contact wearers, especially on breezy days, and today is a little bit breezy. I think he's going a little fast, actually. Must be 40K. That looked faster than 40K. Hard to be sure, though. Cars look like they're going faster when you see them coming around the corner than when they're coming straight at you. I don't want to judge him just because he was driving what I think that was a Porsche. I like Porsches. I'd drive one. Yeah, whatever's in my left eye is getting more annoying, not less. More mowing. CBC buildings over there, through the trees. There used to be a building here, but it was, well, there was some sort of underhanded attempt to build something without really getting permission, which fell through, and then they just cleaned up the site. It looks like they're still working on. Man. Hope this washes out with some tears pretty soon. It's getting worse. Very unpleasant. There I think it went. Oh, that's a relief. So we'll take this little bit of road here over to the crosswalk and lights. Carry on that away. I think I'll just walk along Broadway here, and then I'll come back and go down a bit through the, I think it's called Badam Avenue, which is just a short street. The one I've walked along many times. So yeah, this used to be the CNIB building was here. And then somebody was trying to build something, but they didn't really follow the proper procedures, so it fell through. And now they've just cleaned up the site. Looks like they planted grass. It'll just turn into parkland. But you still have this bit of driveway that used to be for the old building. CNIB is elsewhere now. I'm not sure where they went. I think I've seen it at some point, but I don't remember. I was in there a couple of times because my mother-in-law had poor vision late in life, and we got talking books and readers and things there. So this is Broad Street. Downtown is that way. When I come back, I'll walk down that next street down. But for now, I'll stay over here. Long light, unfortunately. I've walked over there quite a bit, but I won't do that today. I always run into, there's a whole bunch of rabbits over there. Maybe a whole warren. I'm not sure. I always call them snowshoe hares, but we do actually have rabbits, so I'm never sure what species it is. The hares have longer ears and they're usually bigger. This is what used to be called Canadian Red Cross. Now it's Canadian Blood Services. They wanted me to donate my blood because of various things I've had down through the years, so it would have been something I could do. Not to mention some of the medications I've taken, so at least last time I checked, maybe it's changed, but I had rheumatic fever as a kid. They don't want your blood if you had rheumatic fever. And I took penicillin daily until I was 18. They didn't want people with penicillin in their blood either. And I don't know what they'd say now, but I suspect it hasn't changed as far as the rheumatic fever side goes, even though it's been 40 years. Church here. It's just a long straight walk. Shiloh Assembly. Apostolic Church. Haven't been in that one. I can pretty much predict what it looks like. Been in a lot of churches. It's just a housing area over here. So again, I've walked through quite a few times. I don't know what this is. It looks closed, whatever it is. Credit union maybe with that sign. But I think we are closed. Whatever they were, they are closed. Oh, I just now saw that. It's just passed me on the way to work. And Kirk, good morning in Vancouver. Bob. Yes, I'm out and about. I can be seen when I do this. Some people, like the person I passed back there, quite deliberately left the sidewalk so they wouldn't have to pass me. Which reminds me of being a newspaper reporter and doing man-on-the-street interviews in Weyburn. People knew what I was doing and would cross the street so I wouldn't ask them any questions. Here, let's take a little detour up here to the front of Cedarwood Manor. Go under their porte cochere. There's the entrance, not very inspiring. No smoking, it says on those benches. I'll bet you people have smoked on them. Oh yeah, look, there's the rabbits there. Some rabbits, but yeah, down that way, I always see rabbits along there. Or possibly snowshoe hares, whichever they are. Now, this used to be a curling rink, but it's not anymore. But it is a gym. Regina Sports Performance Center. That's what it calls itself. Well, the building probably doesn't call itself anything because buildings can't talk. Little known fact. Next Level Fitness. Physiotherapy and rehab. Never been in there either, not even when it was a curling rink. Over there is shopping and a drugstore, well, kind of, liquor store. Gas station. Carry on down Broadway Center. I don't actually know what that's for. Kind of a generic name. Don't know what it is, Broadway Center. Now, let me see how long I've been walking and determine if I keep going to all the way to Winnipeg or not. 24 minutes. Because if I go down here, I don't go anywhere, I get trapped. Or you end up in the alley, which I don't want to. I'm carrying on down. We'll go as far as, I could go through the schoolyard, but that's a little weird with the camera, and school is in session, so I won't do that. There's the grocery store over there. And there's 2 apartment buildings up here. One's a kind of a seniors, or has some component of retirement type of place. I'm not sure if it's entirely that or if you can just rent an apartment. The other one's just an apartment building. There's a pharmacy over there, so there's a drugstore as well as the liquor store. Of course, that school down there, Balfour, which we'll go around in front of momentarily, is where a large portion of my book, especially Song of the Sword, actually takes place in the school. Not a large portion, but there are scenes set in the school. And more in Twist of the Blade as well. After that, the kids are kind of out of school. What with saving the world and all that. It's not really that school. It's a made-up school, but it's based on that school. But it has a different name. I called mine Wascana Collegiate, which is a version of Wascana, of course. Looks like I can take this dirt path here. Let's take this dirt path. Go to the football practice field here. But I think this will just take us behind the apartment building here. Must go somewhere. People wouldn't have made it by walking across the grass. Noticeably cooler in the shade. Funny how that happens. When you're no longer exposed to the blazing thermonuclear furnace in the sky. This takes us into the next school. That's Balfour, and this is Miller. Now, I can either walk through the grass, or I can go down between the schools here along this path. I don't really need to go to Winnipeg. I've been on this way, just because I've never done it. This will take us to between the schools and back to college. It's not like it's a well-maintained sidewalk. Well, I think I've missed more notes, but I can't see anything in the sun at the moment. I'll have to wait till I find some shade. Now, there's a very important scene in Charge of Excalibur that happens over there, although in my book, those are tennis courts, and they may have been at one time. I'm not sure if I made that up, or if really was tennis courts at one point. Lots of cars coming in here. It's a nice Mustang. Clearly a student parking here. If I go through there, I'd be in Balfour Schoolyard. I don't know if they would like that or not. Might be better than being on the signs parked in front of absolutely no parking there. I think I'll go this way. Looks less busy. Of course, immediately a truck comes in this way. And another one. And another one. I've often said kind of the first time I was in Regina as a high school student for anything, it was at Balfour. It was a debate tournament, which I placed very well in. Well enough that I got a interview in the Leader Post at the time. I should find that story someday. Right, so that's Balfour. We're on College Avenue now. We've turned the corner and are headed back toward the house. Hope the sound is continuing to be okay. I'll find out when I get home. Oh yeah, were there some more notes I missed there? Very beautiful. That's very nice. Hi, Mohammed. It's a lovely day. This is, now that everything's green, it's a much friendlier landscape than it is in the middle of January. Oh good, I got here just as the kids are arriving for school. And next there's a seniors center's residence, which seems to have some work going on the roof. Picking up garbage over here. That'll get us by the school. And then up here I will dip down off of College into that area over there. Good, glad the sound is working. I'm using my wireless mic again for the first time in a long time. It just quit working on me during the snow months. And I could go down there, go through that. No, I'll stay out here. So I don't know what they're doing to the roof, but clearly a lot of work going on. Hope it's not too disruptive for the old people who live there. Now, a couple of ways I can go here. Yeah, I still don't want to go down that way. That's just like a loading zone. So we'll go here by the Archdiocese of Capel's building. That's what this is. St. Cuthbert's House, they call it. Oh, it's called Capel House. So that's Capel House Care Home. But we go up here. This is Diocese of Capel, St. Cuthbert's House. Right there. And there's a path here, which doesn't really go anywhere, except back where we came from. There might be a path. Nope, doesn't go anywhere. I thought it might connect over there to some other paths, but instead it comes up here and ends abruptly. This is actually the one I was thinking of, which will take me down that way. So all of this was Anglican church property at one time. This is St. Chad's up here, which was a seminary, and it's now being turned into the word will come to me. Condominiums. There we go. So sometimes I go that way, but I think I'll go right by St. Chad's here. See how it's looking. These are all condos and retirement dwellings over there. St. Chad's. I don't think that'll take me anywhere. There's lots of Oh, have they finished here? There was a sign for a long time about the renovations, but it seems to be gone, so maybe it's done. Gates here, they weren't here the last time I came, I don't think. If you go over there, you can see some interesting details on the old church. If you look up, it says Capel, Diocese of Capel over that entrance. It's probably St. Chad. Hello, Dan. How much of the neighborhood is inspiration for my books? Depends on the book. I always try to put a little Saskatchewan in my, I don't think I can get through over that way. I always try to put a little Saskatchewan in my books, and certainly in the Shards of Excalibur books, which actually take place in Saskatchewan. There's quite a bit of Regina in those, and part of it's my neighborhood for sure. Wally Knight from Shards of Excalibur lives in Harrington Mews, which I walk by every time I walk around the lake. It's just west of the bridge. So all of these were part of like St. Chad's, and now they have various offices and things in them. Could have walked around on that side, I guess, but oh well. We'll go up here and go down Badam now. And as I mentioned, of course, Balfour back there was the inspiration for the high school in those books. But it's rare for me to write something set in the here and now, so. Still, the other one, of course, was Magebane, my fantasy novel written as Lee Arthur Chane, which takes place in a landscape that's a version of Saskatchewan. The king lives in a marble palace on the south side of the lake, right in the downtown of the major city, and the university is centered in another city up north of that, which Saskatoon is, of course. And the bad guy lives in the Capel Valley, or what's the equivalent of the Capel Valley. This is Badam, so there's lots of businesses along here. The other fun thing about Magebane is that part of the thing is that the whole kingdom is surrounded by a wall, but specifically the downtown part where the king lives and the lake are under a magical dome that keeps it from ever being winter. It's always spring, and that's a big enough dome that if you look at it on a real map, it's clear that my house would fall under it, so it would always be spring there. So maybe that's wishful thinking. Naked Bean over there is a coffee shop, nice one. Never go there to write, but I've bought stuff there once in a while. All right, we got to get across. Got to get across Broadway again here. Not Broadway. Broadway's down there. We were just on it. That's the CBC across from us. Actually, the way I'll probably get back over Albert will take us by Harrington Mews, where Wally Knight lives, in the Shards of Excalibur. Another long light. It seems to take forever. Now, which way do I go here? Do I walk behind CBC? Interesting question. Maybe I'll walk in front this time. Walk in front of the buildings instead of behind them. I've done both. CBC stands for Canadian Broadcasting Corporation. If you're not from around here, that will take you downtown. Downtown, main part of downtown is a little to the left of this, so you can't see the taller buildings, but there's a few down there. Not much taller than those, there's just more of them. Also, the Provincial Archives are here now. CBC doesn't take up nearly as much space as it once did. Downsizing. Used to go there every week to do my science column with Colin Brewer on the afternoon edition. Kind of missed that. Those were the days. Crow was carrying something. And this is the sound stage. Used to be a education building for the university, but it's just a facade. Everything inside, especially down here, is gone. It's just a big, of course, black box for shooting movies in. Then up in the front end here, there's offices and stuff. So SIMPIA, which used to be the Saskatchewan Motion Picture Industry Association, is now Saskatchewan Multimedia Production Industry Association, I believe. Has its offices in there, and Sask Books, the publishing association of which I'm currently vice president, has its offices in there. What's this? I don't know the people at CBC like I used to. Used to know a lot of them by sight and say hi to because of being on CBC for, I did stuff often, 17 years for the weekly science column, and then a couple more years of this and that, so probably 20 years in all I was on CBC radio fairly regularly. It's the front of the building. This part is old. The tower has not been gutted, but everything else behind these walls is new. I guess the beams are still there. The steel beams are still the original beams, but not much else remains. But they kept the facade, which is the most important thing from the streetscape, of course. The art department used to be in here too, which is why there's still some pieces of art out front, like that one. There were famous artists from Regina, a group called the Regina Five, that would have hung out in the basement of that building back in those days. No, wait, I'm wrong. They hung out in the basement of that building. This one was also the theater building at one point. I think the first time I was in it, I was there for a let me think about that. I won a playwriting competition, or it was an honorable mention or something. I don't think I was living in Regina. No, I wasn't. I was living in Weyburn because it was a play that was actually staged by Western Christian College, which was still in Weyburn, and I was still in Weyburn. Science fiction play about two kids end up in an old farmhouse, and aliens show up also looking for shelter from the same storm. I haven't thought about that for years. I should make sure it's online somewhere. It's a nice shot of the college building, refurbished, all lit up in the sun here. This obviously is the new part, this addition down here. We'll walk in front of it today. Oh, look, I think that's the first dogs I've encountered. There are always dogs. I'm not sure why this is blocked off. This is also the Conservatory of Performing Arts is in this building. Doesn't ring any bells, that name. Not really CBC listeners. I'm not a radio listener of any sort. I don't watch TV news. prefer to get my information by reading, always have. Probably comes. Now, I could actually go through there, I think, if it's open, but I don't know if it is or not. Might not be yet. Some other time. Probably is, but I think you have to have masks in certain places in the university. In classrooms, I think they still had it, but not in hallways. You know, if you've watched me long enough, you know what I think about masks in general, but I wear them when required. There's a dark hall, newly renovated. This is the space in between, which will have nice landscaping in it, and that's a bit of a stage area down there they're still working on. This is quite lovely inside, as you know, if you walked into it with me the other day. There's the joint lobby between the two, so makes Dark Hall far more accessible than it ever was before. So now you can enter it on a little below ground level, actually, in what used to be the basement. And then you take an elevator up if you have trouble with stairs. Never an option before. This again is the credit union building. I think I want to go over to, that's too far out of the way. I think I'll go back up to college and cross where I crossed, but in the opposite direction. Or do I? I don't know. It's just that I'll be over there tomorrow and I wouldn't want to repeat myself. So I think I'll go up here, cross over to the other side of college at the Lorne Street light here, which is fairly new. Didn't used to be a light here. Hopefully I catch it here perfectly. That would be nice. I don't know if I'll have time to press the button, that's always the question, but even so, I should catch the light here just about perfectly. Indeed I have. All right, so we'll walk along. Nope, they are starting to drop. They are starting to drop petals now. So it won't be long until there's no flowers left. And it seems like they just arrived, but that's the way of the world. It's a pretty day. And of course, you get nice lighting from the east walking this way now. It's an old house. It's been quite heavily renovated. Like the garage there that looks like the old garage isn't the old garage. And this porch used to be in part of the house. Inside the house, I mean. They opened that up. I still have the great bay windows. It's actually a doctor's office. I don't know if they live in there. They may live in there upstairs as well. I don't know. A little artwork there. An older apartment building. As we cross Smith Street, downtown. There used to be a woman who was always on that bench protesting something, and she'd been doing it for 20 years. And I saw her enough, I could even say hi to her. I knew her well enough, or at least she knew me because I walked by so often. Never did know what she was protesting. Never could make sense out of it, what she had on her signs. And I haven't seen her now for a while, so maybe she's no longer doing that. That's the old house for the Regina Symphony Orchestra. Offices are now. Another old house I really like, but it is just offices now and not a house, unfortunately. It's pretty. These houses, which are connected, the next two used to belong to the Shumiatchers, Morris and Jackie Shumiatcher. very important citizens. Morris was a nationally renowned lawyer, both of them philanthropists. And they were friends of my wife's family, and Jackie in particular then I got to know really well. She just died a year or two ago. I've been in that house many times. In fact, our wedding shower, wedding shower. Bridal shower for my wife was in there. Not so much dedication as, if you're talking about CBC, 20 years, wasn't so much dedication as I was getting paid, and I'm a freelancer. So I would still be doing it if they hadn't decided 17 years was enough for the weekly column. Once Colin Brewer left, things changed. Because he was host of this afternoon edition all those years that I was on it. And we performed frequently together in the musical theater. But he left CBC and moved to Victoria, because that's where his wife had family, and saw them there several years ago now. I suspect he's retired. He's a little bit older than I am. He was working for the government and still doing shows. Last I heard, he was at least had done Gilbert and Sullivan. Victoria may have the only remaining Gilbert and Sullivan Society in Canada if it's still going. It was at the time. So Colin, if you're watching this, get into... Actually, I did hear from him on Facebook not that long ago, so I know he's still out there. Yeah, those are good years. I really enjoyed. But the other thing about being a freelancer is nothing lasts forever. Gigs come and go. I've had a few steady gigs that then evaporated. Like for the last couple of years, I've been doing one that was bringing in a few $100s a month, and it just went away, sort of without warning, and that was that. One reason why I quit taking guitar lessons is because all of a sudden that income had vanished. And here's our crescent again. Back home again on Angus Crescent. Unitarian Church, once upon a time, was a Church of Christ Scientist building. Built in 26, I think. Does it say 26 or 28? 28, actually. So it's actually 2 years younger than our house, which was built in 26. Most of the houses along here were built in that time frame. I think the oldest one in the neighborhood goes back to 1912 or 14 or something. It was the bishop's house. I don't know who lives there, but they've been there a long time, and they do a big haunted house thing at Halloween. Kids line up to get into that. I've never been in it. My wife has. So how long did I end up walking here? Did I judge it pretty much right? Yeah, I did. I have a really, especially in the walks I've done frequently now, even if I change them a little bit, I always have a pretty strong sense of how long they're going to take and what I can do in an hour, more or less. This one will be a little under an hour, but not too much under an hour. Having school down there. Glad to see I'm not the only one with shaggy grass. I have to mow this weekend. It's really shot up in the last little while. It was just mowed not that long ago, but it's shot up again since then. It was fertilized this week too, so, and then watered. So yeah, that's on my to-do list for the weekend. Flowers. They're probably safe. It is supposed to go to 3 for a low tonight, but it's not a frost warning. Probably would be if the nights were longer. It would definitely still be frosting. Once in a while, I think. And since the nights are so short, it doesn't have quite as much time to cool off as it would have later in the fall. But it certainly isn't blisteringly hot by any means. Only going to 20 today. There for insect control, there are 2 insects that crawl up the trees and lay their eggs, and then when the larvae come out, they eat the leaves of the trees. One of them is the, what's it called? Well, we call them cankerworms. That's the larva. I think it's a type of moth. So the bands stop that from happening and protect the canopy from being eaten or tinted. And there's a fellow here, you can see Rick's Yard Care, who that's one of the things he does, and you just sign up with him and he looks after it, because if you have to do it yourself, it's a mess. That's it. So that's it for today. Tomorrow will be around the lake, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.